Alright, just like the title says, historic values of AR-15s and why in 2025 now's kind of the time to buy. Alright, first off, I want to say I don't have any sponsors. Nobody gives me these firearms to review in my review of budget guns. It's just something I do myself, when I have time. And I see an opportunity, okay? But it would really help if you would hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. That helps the algorithm, helps the channel out. And also, like I say, all of this I pay out of my own pocket. So there will be a link to be a member, and what it is, it's $3 a month. And it would just be a way to help support the channel and defer some of the costs of doing these tests and purchasing these items. And $3 a month comes out $36 a year. That ain't an awful lot of money, okay? So if you could, please do. So there's a lot of channels out there talking about these budget guns, and right now in 2025 with the economy, the fact the gun market is slowing down something fierce, and people really, with inflation and bills, people don't have a lot of money. So for, I guess, the past 2 years, whenever I review these budget guns, it's because their prices come down to where, is it worth it? Is it worth, making a move on them? And I guess AR-15s are now in that category where I've seen prices so low. And what do I mean by that? Let's roll back the clock to the late 1970s, 79, 1980. The only AR-15 clones you could get were made by Colt. And the retail on them back then, all those years ago, was like $550. Then in 1986, they changed the import laws, and that's when all these foreign countries could bring in their mil surplus guns, and China was allowed to trade with us with Norinco, and SKS's AK-47s flooded the market. So AR-15s, had competition. You had guns like SKS, a brand new one in the box was $180. An AK-47 was $350 compared to $550 or getting close to $600 at the time for an AR. So this is where the market was flooded with other types of firearms that were similar, military style, and kind of hurt the AR market. But prices held through the 90s, and that when they enacted the crime bill that banned a bunch of firearms, everything went berserk. It shot up instantly. And this was the first time you've seen this huge rapid fluctuation in prices, okay? Where Colt kind of stopped making civilian guns for political reasons, and the price went up on them. I think H-Bar Target in the 90s, just for the ban. I have one with a bayonet lug miss, and they went up to $800 and some dollars. And then afterwards, after the ban, they were, and I've never sold any, but the price tags were well over a K, and then, heading towards $2 for a lot of these firearms. But that lasted a while, and they did come out with, the versions without flash hiders and weird stocks and all that other stuff for quite a few years. But the prices kind of fluctuated, or basically stayed. The prices for ARs, and I'm not quite sure when the patent ran out where other companies could manufacture the AR-15 platform. The prices kind of leveled out to about $700. So after, and then I guess that ban expired after so many years, and then the floodgates opened. People were making all kinds of parts, and Anderson, the one company, this gun here and that one in the front were built with Anderson lower receivers that you used to buy, and they ranged anywhere from $60, $70. You catch them on sale, you could get them for $30, okay? And that fluctuated with time. So you get to a point where ARs were around, say, $7 to $750 on the low end. And that was like Bushmasters, Delton was making them, and some of these companies no longer exist, but that was about the level playing field, okay? You would find some other companies that would come out with something, maybe the price is lower, but then there was problems with quality control and the parts. I've seen people passing off parts that you can obviously tell they were not of good quality. So as time progressed, and we went on, say until 2018 and stuff like that. By then, ARs were popular, and a lot of things happened. They were holding at 7, and then you would have some mass shooting, and everybody would panic. The average price was around 7. They panic. No laws were passed, and then they jump up to $1,300, $1,500, okay, overnight, and they were sold out. People would just run there and couldn't get their money out fast enough to buy one of these $700 guns for about double the price, okay? Then everybody would be sold out, nothing would change, and then these companies were cranking out lowers, cranking out guns, and kept doing this, and it was a pattern that went on from like, I don't know, I'd say 2010, around there, and every year, every other year there was some kind of panic and up and down. Then it kind of leveled out to about $600 for what I call a generic AR-15. And there were a lot of companies producing uppers, parts, barrels, lower receivers, upper receivers, all the accessories, different stocks, and Magpul is one of the brand name companies that makes a whole variety of furniture for the AR platform, and different handguards and M-lock and all kinds of other things, and changes being made, and there was more variety, and the market got flooded. And that price slowly and gradually dropped down to prior to the plague, I'll call it plague years, because I don't know if I'll still get gigged by using it, the term. About 2020, 21, the price was down, and prior to that, from like 2010 on, the price on a generic AR kind of level off to 6, and you've seen it go to 5 as the market was flooded, and there'd be little fluctuations, but AR-15s were popular, and these companies cranked them out, okay? And, your baseline ones, or your simple versions, which would probably have, was usually the furniture was basic and simple from a nondescript company or something, not like Magpul or anything. And they dropped into 6, then it got down to 5, 5.5 was what was really going, and then it got close now at 5 prior to the plague. And for a decent generic gun, you're looking at about $500, okay? And then I'd go to the gun show, and there were some that they dropped to $499, which I've never seen. I've never seen an AR or even a parts kit. Parts kits were $300 some, and you had to throw another $100 for the lower and that in there. So, even if you put together one, you were still looking at high 4, close to 5. You saved a few dollars depending on what you did, but in general, just buying a kit, they were usually 3 something, close to 4. To see them at 490 was crazy. Then of course we had the last gigantic scare with, from 2020 onward, where you couldn't get anything. That last one was bad, and you really couldn't find anything. That's how bad it was at any place. But now production's caught up. There's a slump. The economy's bad. So now we're seeing, over these past few years, a real big dip in prices. So now we're seeing the AR market, a lot of companies have dropped out, like Delton. Bushmaster was bought up by Remington, and I don't know what happened to the trademark after Remington's bankruptcy. And there are a lot of high-end makers of an AR-15 platform. Too many, and they go anywhere from 7, 8 to into thousands of dollars. Okay, but I'm talking mostly about the budget guns. Right now, I've seen them come down to around 4. 4. So you get into 3 something for some of them. And what does that translate into? Well, realistically, if I go online and find somebody selling one for, say, like $370, $380, depending on that, when it's all said and done, to get the gun sent to your dealer, paying the shipping, sales tax, and transfer, you're looking at 4.5 on average. And that's for like an Anderson, Radical Arms, and that, or Andro Corp. Okay, they're all in the same price range. Okay, so this is your budget AR, so you're looking anywhere under 500. So a lot of your budget guns are going to get you, say, we'll average it out, 4.5 now is kind of the budget barrier. And you'll find sales where they could drop them $30, $40 more, okay? There is one company, ATI, which I have this here, do some videos. And I bought this because I got it at a gun show. I calculated for like $40 or $50 less than if I ordered it, because what the advertised price online for this is what I paid out the door, okay? So this was a buy, and this is what kicked off everything and started it, and I've done videos and explained this about this gun we'll look at. The ATI is the company that makes polymer upper-lower sets, okay? And these are the ARs that are going to be the least expensive. I found somewhere online where you can buy a rifle, flat top, no sights, a basic rifle for $299.99, which translates into about $330, $340 delivered. Okay, and I will do a separate video talking about polymer guns. Also, if you're a builder, another company that's gone out basically sold its gun manufacturing thing, Anderson, which made a lot of lowers, a lot of parts. They've actually built rifles and all the accessories and that you could buy from Anderson. The company sold to Ruger, their gun manufacturing, and the company's moved on to doing aerospace work, but no longer the trademark, the warranties, and something else to bear in mind. And this gun, the gun down there, is built on an Anderson lower. I've used them. They're very good. They used to make a stainless steel AR-15 trigger and parts. kit that was, I like them for the lower parts, all made out of stainless, the trigger and the hammer and all that. I had a few of them, I still have them, and actually if I decide to get rid of the rifle, I'll put in a standard set and take the stainless ones out. Okay, because I really liked them that much. But unfortunately that's gone. So, that's what we're looking at. And what I intend to do is adding on to this purchase here. I had this ATI pistol, and I also bought a 9mm pistol, a Jawbone, which is not an AR-15 style. In a way it kind of is. It's a blowback operated like an AR, and it has a buffer tube in that, but it's not your classic style. But I have another one here, 9mm, and this also I got and saved some money, you know, just a little over $4 Going to be an interesting gun to test. And this one has an aluminum upper and a polymer lower, so another thing to look into. So what I'm going to do, I may or may not, and you know, put down in the comment section what you think. I'm thinking of reviewing some budget ARs. They'll probably be below, we'll use this $500 mark. It's kind of like when I did the bolt action rifles that were under $350. 500 is going to be the cutoff, and if I can get them for, you know, 4.5, whatever, and cost, do a review of them, and we'll talk more about that when I talk about reviewing the budget guns. But just to give you an idea and why it's kind of critical to buy them, because I mean, even though 40 some odd years ago, you know, a Colt made AR was $500, and with inflation, okay, you know, Colts are around a K, but to get something like this ARs, when they hover at $700 mark for years, to get them at 4.5 and that for similar guns, it is kind of a deal. Alright guys, I want to close this out, and it's going to be a series, going to be numerous videos, so, you know, subscribe and stay tuned.